Thank you so much for joining us. We anticipate that there will be additional people joining us for the next several minutes, but we want to go ahead and respect your time and get started. And we're going to start with a prayer in from Reverend Jerry.
Good evening, everyone. Let's just close our eyes if that feels comfortable. And let us take a collective breath, a deep breath, breathing in all the life that exists within the depths of our very being, and letting go, and taking another deep collective breath as we release everything that's gone before this moment, anything that's gone before this day, just letting it drift away and being very present to this now moment, knowing that there is only one power and one presence, one life force that is known by many names, by Allah, by God, by Mother, Father, God, by Infinite Spirit, Divine Presence. Whatever name you choose, we know that there is only one. One. And how good it is to know this, how good it is to know that the omnipresence and the omniscience and the omnipotence of Spirit is all that there is, that is right here surrounding each of us individually and as a collective. For we are one with this divine power and presence. There is no mistaking. We are one with the divine and with each other, each step of the way in this life journey. And how good it is to come together this evening in the consciousness of love and oneness, and the consciousness of wisdom and clarity, and all the magnificent God qualities of joy, of goodness, of comfort, of peace, this and so much more. So I'm blessing our time together this evening. I know that it is fruitful, that it is awakening the consciousness within, that it is allowing us to be creative and expressive and to share about our spiritual home, the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. So I'm blessing everyone who's had a part of the preparation of this evening. I know that everything is in divine order, and I know that all we need to do is take our human hands off and let God be God right here and right now, knowing that there is ease and grace and peace and so much more, because we are here as a collective family. We are here collectively supporting one another and holding the high watch for our beloved community, the Oakland Center. So I'm grateful, I'm so very grateful for this and the more, as I let these words go into the universal law of love that always says yes to our heart's desires. How good it is to know this. Let us just begin our evening with peace and grace and ease. And so it is. So we're going to read our new minister covenant. So I invite you to read along or just rest in these words as I read to you. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to reveal Spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as wisdom. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by Spirit, for it is written, I am filled with divine wisdom. I allow divine mind to fill my mind now. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unity in the community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself, for I am inspiring unity and diversity, embracing and nourishing our community. I am awakening the wisdom within. I am healing and expanding our community with the power of love. I am engaging the community and building a world that works for everyone. I am deepening family consciousness. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they are revealed in a way that illumines spirit and serves the highest and greatest good for all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious, and so it is. Ashe. And I turn it over to Robert.
So much, Reverend Jerry.
Mhm.
Welcome, beloved community, to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living's 2022 annual meeting. This is a time when we come together to reflect on the past year, celebrate our blessings, and move forward with gratitude and openness into our greatest yet to be. I am Robert Leeds, President of the Board of Trustees, in what is one of my final official acts in that role. The format tonight is we'll go through the presentation first. We have a lot to cover, so we ask that you hold your questions till the end. I'm guessing maybe 45 minutes to an hour to get through all the material. I'd recommend keeping a pen, something to jot down your comments or questions so you can address them during the Q&A, or a phone app because it's the 21st century. There won't be any breaks, so take care of yourself as needed. This is being recorded, so you'll be able to refer back to it. When we do get to the Q&A portion, please observe our respectful communication guidelines and be concise with your questions or comments, as others might be waiting to speak. I just want to mention that we ask that you keep your cameras off for now, just because of the bandwidth. Otherwise, it's going to make Constance's job harder, and we do not want that. So let's take a look at the agenda. We're going to start out with a 2021 year in review brought to us by Reverend Jerry. We're going to get an update on the new minister search committee. We'll get updates also on the practitioners and youth and family. Janine is going to be talking about the Reverend Jeff Educational Fund. Constance will be reviewing education. Linda will talk about the bookstore. Zoe will be talking about sacred service, along with volunteers and ministries. We're going to get a little update on our social media team and our media team from Sabrina and Peggy. Larry's going to be talking about compliance and our reopening, whatever the next steps will be. We'll talk about our nonprofit partners. We'll get an overview of our financial situation from our treasurer, Debbie, along with Reverend Jerry. We'll look at the results of the voting for the bylaw changes and the board candidate, Eileen Grossman. And then we've got some in memoriams at the end. And then we'll move into the Q&A. So now that you know exactly what's going to happen, although we never know exactly what's going to happen here at OCSL, I'd like to reintroduce our beloved Reverend Jerry to do a 2021 year in review.
Thank you, Robert. Oh my goodness, and what a year it has been. So we started off with amazing staff ministers, Reverend Sally and Reverend Tony, and our beloved Reverend Francione, who have moved on in one way or another, doing what's calling to their heart's desires. We also had the honor of having Reverend Sonny Cantrell Smith join us for a while during our process of moving through the healing process as we continue to release our beloved Reverend Jeff. So we are appreciating these beloveds every step of the way. And then we had service via Zoom and service again via Zoom. We had service in person. So we had a good 5 or 6 months of service in person. And then we had service in Zoom again, which is where we are right now. But I think there's some really good news coming down the pipeline a little bit later. And so we kept going, didn't we? We kept going. We had Vision Board Party, Black History and Social Justice, Journey for Spiritual Living, the Cast book study, Grandmother's Hand book study, Love Tasha Asante storytelling. We had a courtyard bookstore sale, Reverend Jeff's memorial wall, our gratitude garden, and the Christmas Eve candle lighting service, along with a Christmas celebration dinner. We had, of course, again, Reverend Jeff's memorial service, which was very special and important to us. We had the courtyard church bazaar and rummage sale. We had a holiday dinner, which I mentioned a little earlier, diversity circle, which continues on thriving in our community, listening circles, recline and release soundscapes, and a memorial rafting trip dedicated to Reverend Jeff. So I'd say for being in a pandemic, we made good use of our time. And then we had, of course, our ecclesiastical leadership team, which was Reverend Sally Bartholomew, Reverend Tony Bradford, and myself, and Constance Chapman. We started the year off with the team, supporting our community and supporting Reverend Jeff at this time, a critical time in our movement here. And then, of course, I stepped in as contract minister to support our community even further as we move through the process of the selection and candidating committee. And I'm really honored right now to invite Anthony Prado to the platform to share with us about that process. Anthony?
Hang on, let me get my camera going. There we are. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for showing up. First of all, I'd like to, sorry, my face looks so weird. It looks so faded. I want to, first of all, acknowledge our committee. We've got some great people. We've got Beth Van Arco, Linda Wyman, Dorothy Mendez, Susan Urquhart Brown, Bonnie Gonzalez, Elke Moritz, is it? And myself. And we had Lewis with us for a while. Most of you know Lewis is healing right now, but we still consider him a part of our committee. So where are we with this new minister's search? We've got a very dynamic group of people. We had to put together this profile, and it has information all about OCSL. We're promoting ourselves. We're putting together this package that tells the applicant, hey, look, this is who we are. A PowerPoint was put together by Linda, actually by all of us, stating our ministries, our events, our financial situation, what we're looking for in a minister, the type of personality. And this took a couple of months. It is completed. And we are going to be sending it to Reverend Julie Lobato. Reverend Julie Lobato is our consultant with headquarters. And we also have a video. We're going to show you the video in a little bit here after I'm done toward the end here. So what Reverend Julie will do, where we're at this point, is she's going to take our profile. She's going to review it. And then she's going to call a meeting with the committee, with all of us together. And then from there, we're going to go to the next step. That's essentially, where we're at with it. And I also want to add, if any of you people know a minister, a New Thought minister, and I say New Thought because we are opening it up to like Unity or Divine Science or something like that. There is a way they can apply. So if you know of any ministers who are interested in this position, please contact Reverend Julie Lobato. Bonnie, are you going to put her address in the chat? Because if you don't have it, I have it.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, so Bonnie's going to put that in there. So what's going to happen is CSL vets the applications. There it is, Reverend Julie J. Lobato at csl.org. Again, if you know anybody interested in this position, that's who they contact. Now, if they're referred to us, either we'll forward their name on or we'll say you need to contact her directly. So that's okay if you manage to talk to Linda or Dorothy or someone like that. So the next phase is CSL will vet the applications that come into them. And then they send it to the committee who they think is going to be a good match. And then the committee reviews the applications, will review the resumes, the recommendation. We also want videos of their talks. And then after that, the committee will select 3 applicants from these multiple applicants and then present them to the congregation. We'll say we've got John Smith and Jane Doe and whomever. And then the Board of Trustees and the congregation will have the opportunity to meet with them and hear them. They will be required to give a Sunday service, because I remember when Jeff applied for the job here, Reverend Jeff, as most of you remember, they had to give a Sunday service and then they had to give a workshop after a Sunday service. So there will be that exposure to what their style is, their personality, and what they have to offer. So that's essentially where we're at now with this. Again, Reverend Julie, the ball's in her court, and she'll be coming back and calling a meeting with the committee. And I believe if someone can text Max, we are ready for, let me tell you a little bit about the video. So Bonnie and Max Lopez, who's on the AV team, worked on this video. We looked at 5 videos from 5 other CSL centers and groups. And maybe I should not say anything about it. Okay, what it is will be, we're going to talk about what Oakland is, the city of Oakland, and then we talk about the center and what we do at the center. So this is a promotional piece, and we are going to set this up to be a promotional piece, not just to entice or attract a minister. And this is going to promotional piece for the center in terms of the greater community. And actually, like Bonnie and I were on the phone the other night, she goes, this is going to go not national, but international. So we're going to have this on Facebook, on the website, or wherever else. Reverend Julie said, you got to put this up there and show the world this is who you are and what you can do. So I think we can send a text to Max, and he's going to get spotlighted, I believe. And with a lot of technical situations, there's always a little delay or a little lag, so please bear with us. Thank you so much.
Allison, can you?
California is a major West Coast port city. Oakland is the largest city in the East Bay region of the San Francisco Bay Area. Oakland is only 15 minutes from San Francisco. Oakland has its own distinct history, diversity, culture, and social movements. There's the famous Jack London Square on the waterfront. Oakland Museum showcases California's history. There's Chinatown.
Lake Merritt is a naturally occurring lake in the middle of downtown Oakland. Lake Merritt is the hub of activity for all things Oakland.
First Fridays is a high-energy event for all to come out and enjoy. Music, food, art, and fun activities. For those that love to hike, bike, and explore nature, Oakland has 2 national regional parks, offering over 1,800 acres of redwood trees and over 40 miles of hiking trails, and not to mention the spectacular, breathtaking views of the bay. Nestled snugly in the hills, high above Oakland, sits Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Oakland Center for Spiritual Living has been a part of the greater Oakland area since 1945. The actual sanctuary was built in 1963. Later in 1967, the Social Hall Educational Building was constructed after founder Lillian Harper received authority to teach and graduate students in courses and study classes in science of mind. The Sunday service brings the sanctuary alive, brimming with soul-stirring, joyous and uplifting music, which then sets the stage for the delivery of powerful, thought-provoking, faith-encouraging, and truly inspirational messages from the pulpit. After Sunday services, the social hall and courtyard becomes the heartbeat of the center, pulsating with laughter, social conversations, intense discussions, and children's giggles as they play. Here is what the members have to say about Oakland Center for Spiritual Living.
Oh, we're home.
And it feels like home to me.
I had found my spiritual home.
People say when they came that home, I felt that right away.
Every time I come up that hill, I get glad because I'm going home.
My spiritual home.
Be a part of that wonderful community where I felt really at home the first time I went there.
I immediately knew that I was home.
It's a home.
I feel I have a spiritual home and a community that cares.
Peace and blessings, family. We are the Bakers. I want to share with you some of my most favorite memories. Number one would be getting married there. Number two would be that I grew up there. The third would also be that my parents got married there, and my grandfather's memorial service was just amazing as well.
Also, I want to add that watching my husband grow as the director of youth and family has been very special, and raising our children in the church as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Lara.
I'm Maureen.
And we're going to tell you about our 7 favorite things about OCSL. So the first one is friends.
And then the second one is women's group.
Music.
And then classes, volunteering at the center.
And community activities.
Also too, the practitioners. I mean, for especially during the COVID-19 shelter in place, you guys called me several times. And you called me at the exact moment where I needed to hear someone and to have a prayer. And I just can't thank you enough.
Our ministries are alive with a buzz of fun and joyous activities, offering something for everyone. Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is truly involved and visible in the community. The vision of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to joyfully reveal the love of oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music, prayer, and play. We invite you to come pray and play with us here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living.
So that was it. It was Max and Bonnie and myself who did this. This is pretty much the finished product. I think there's a few tweaks Bonnie and Max and I are going to do. We're not asking for input, by the way, because I know there's probably some of you saying, well, why didn't you do this? And this could have been done and that could have been done. But as you know, too many cooks can spoil the broth. And we respect your opinions. But that pretty much is, we're going to submit this. That's going to go with the profile. And as I said, it's going to go on to Reverend Julie, and then the committee will work with her and take the next steps. So that's the update on the new minister search. And now we're going on to Robin Olmstead for the practitioner update, I believe.
Hello, everybody. I am Robin Olmstead, Robin Rice Olmstead, and I am here to talk about practitioners. And what we were talking about today, Elena and I, who head up the Practitioner Leadership Corps, is how some people don't even know what a practitioner is. Now, I'm sure that's probably none of you, but just in case there's someone new here, what our founder, Ernest Holmes, said was, the practitioners realize that we are born of spirit and not of matter. Spirit is changeless, perfect, and complete. They realize that we are the living embodiment of divine perfection. And what does that mean though? And what do we do? I mean, that sounds great, right? But as practitioners, our primary tool is to use affirmative prayer, and we're trained to use it, and we study for a long time. And we also provide spiritual guidance, spiritual coaching, work one-on-one with clients to help discover or uncover anything that's bothering someone. We help to navigate life changes and help people heal old beliefs and find clarity. Some say that we're the practitioners are the healing arm of the church. We do a lot of things that you may never see. We do a lot of volunteer jobs around OCSL, and we anchor a space of prayerful knowingness for our ministers, for our congregation, for the community, and for the world, for the planet. Practitioners head up different ministries that you hear about. Like our prayer ministry is headed up by Dorothy Mendez, our music ministry by Andy Robbins, our diversity circle by Doug Myers, our garden ministry by Margot Tavitt and Diane Warner, our youth and family by Jackie Onapeti, our education by Constance Chapman, and the PLC by Elena Hutchinson and myself. And if I forgot anyone, I'm sorry, because we're a very busy group here. So I apologize, because I'm going to tell you a lot of things, and I know I'll probably miss someone because we're all super, super involved and super busy. Elena and I took on the PLC about 6 or 8 months ago. And one of the first things we did was vision for our new leadership and the covenant, from the covenant. And from the vision, we determined what we were looking for. We the practitioner core, not only what we want to call in for as a minister, but what we are looking for ourselves within our core. And that's the slide that you see of Elena and I with all those words. All those words were the qualities that we are anchoring and calling in for ourselves, for the community, for our new minister. We began also, but to really figure out where our Prac Corps was and what they needed. We were dealing with the loss of Reverend Jeff and the changes in the church. And after getting feedback from some of the practitioners, we realized that we needed to do some work on grieving and letting go and reclaiming just a sense of who we are and who we want to be as a Corps. And so we requested some help from the board, who agreed to support us with funding to do some healing work with Reverend Sunny Cantrell, who Reverend Jerry spoke about earlier, and her practitioner, Louise Talon. And this was a great time of opening up and healing and discovery. And we began to really reconnect with our team and open up avenues for discussion and create fun events to bring us back together after the pandemic and after all that has gone on. Susan Urquhart Brown stepped up and volunteered to lead us with a fun committee and created some great events, a great Halloween luncheon for us. And we're currently in discussion about future retreats and just really making sure that we're nurturing ourselves, because sometimes as practitioners, we take on a lot of stuff going on out in the world and don't always take care of ourselves. So we're trying to keep up with all of that and create that venue so that if we're healthy, everything is healthy. We also have a new Prac Class that we're very excited to welcome as future colleagues. They're currently in Prac 1, and many of them are here tonight doing service and tech and being their fabulous selves, but they're anchoring, going to the next place in their studies and in their spiritual growth, which is very exciting. And besides what goes on here on Clarewood, 5000 Clarewood, part of our charge is also to take our work out into the world. And we currently have 3 practitioners in ministerial school. Elena, Lucian, and Teresa, and that will give them a bigger platform to reach out from. We also have 3 outreach practitioners, Bonnie, who's in Mexico right now, Dylan, who travels all over the world, and Marnie. And another part of our calling is to take it out into our community. And so we have, as people have said, we have practitioners leading workshops. We have Carmen, who's doing amazing book studies and continuing to lead us in our diversity and cultural awareness. And Chantal also stepped in and did a book study last year. We have Constance Chapman, who's doing a fabulous workshop this year coming up on creativity, but who tested it with us last year. And if you have a chance, I say sign up. It's just amazing. It's an amazing place to really reconnect with yourself and have some fun. And we've also done things like connecting with East Bay Church, and we invited some of their practitioners to our practitioner meeting, and we're talking about how we can collaborate out in the world together and really just connect and be, a community of practitioners. There's also, I taught a class at another center, and Susan and Christopher take our teachings out into the world in a different way. They lead a Saturday Circle, which is a place for people to gather and hear more about the teachings and just have that kind of workshop fun experience as well. Bonnie Gonzalez leads a monthly teaching circle with global participation, people learning and teach from her leadership. And various practitioners speak at a variety of churches and multiple denominations all over, unity churches and different denominations, as well as CSL and agape churches, different places, but really letting our voices be heard and trying to make a difference, anchoring what we know and what we love. And we love to teach and we love to pray, and just the power of that. And most recently this year, Bonnie Gonzalez and I have joined New Thought Media Network, where we both host our own video podcasts. And this network is also broadcast globally. And it just, again, focuses on getting New Thought teachings out into the world. So we're all doing things, and these are just the things I know about. And I know there's more that we're doing, but this is what we do. We anchor these teachings and we really try to walk our talk. And we're just excited. We're very excited for all the work that's going on and all the things that are to come and everything that happened last year and where it's taking us this year. And we look forward to coming back together at the center and growing stronger as a community and taking this love and possibility out into the world. And that's us. That's what we do. I'm complete. Jackie.
Thank you, Robin.
Are we on? Okay.
Okay.
Yay! All right. Okay. This is Jackie
and Diane.
And Diane here at the Hopper House.
Yep. And we're looking forward to the return of our busy bees, our tweens, and our teens to our wonderful rooms where we teach practices and principles, and we have a really good time together.
All the time, practice and pray. And we are also welcoming a new edition of young adults.
Young adults.
After grade 12, we call it adulting.
Yep, adulting.
Yeah, we teach them how to fry eggs and everything. Okay, and so moving right along. Oh yeah, we didn't include Shaston.
Well, Shaston is in here
playing music somewhere on her guitarra, wherever she is. She's actually in the background, so give her some love. Oh, okay. And here is where it begins. The magic kingdom and the land of infinite possibilities. Its nexus and our understanding and practice of principles, our role in creativity, learning, unlearning, relearning, and divine discovery. It's understandable why this building is also called education. And with our chaplain Doug on board, we're reminded to pray without ceasing, as well as play, to simply be and sing. Okay, did you like that? All right. And so we were given 5 minutes maximum, which includes 3 minutes of a presentation by Janine Perry, the administrator for the Reverend Jeff Anderson Education Fund, the scholarships, our teens, and probably the
maybe the young adults.
But Janine follows, so please stay tuned. And
yeah, and we invite you to stop by the Hopper House.
Yes.
And in case you're wondering, we're calling it the Hopper House for Lillian Hopper, the first minister here, who dedicated this building to our youth. So come on up and see what we're doing.
Come on up and see what we're doing. Come work out your childhood issues, if nothing else. We love you, seriously.
Yeah.
This is Jackie.
This is Diane.
Done and done.
So I think I'm, yeah. Hi, everyone. Those two ladies are amazing, amazing people. And I've had so much pleasure in working with them and spending some time up with the kids in the youth and family room. And I'm doing that because I am facilitating the Reverend Jeffrey Anderson Educational Fund, which we could shorten by saying the Rev Jeff Ed Fund. You know, we all feel his presence amongst OCSL, and there's all kinds of things about him around that we find. The bench that Craig and Amy made, the garden that is so lovingly just like flourishing. Everywhere we look, we can find pieces of Reverend Jeff with us. I challenge you to find the fish that Maureen had given to him as a gift. It's there. You got to find it. Anyhow, for me, this is an honor that is going to continue Jeff's legacy in a way that will financially support our kids. It was a very important thing to Jeff that he be a part of the future, and the future is our children. Our family ministry has a lot of room to grow, and so I feel that this is going to be a big impulse for that. There's 2 goals in this fund that we have discussed with the board. And the first one is to make sure that every young adult goes to Science of Mind Camp. That was always very important to Jeff. The second thing is that we continue having scholarships for our young adults who go on to further their education after high school. So that means college or any kind of trade school, any way that we can further support our youth, especially in their transitional time of going from home to adult life. That's it. We're going to be in perpetuity with this fund. It's going to be flourished with some events that I'm going to be asking support from our community and beyond. Constance and I have a date for an art show. We have a lot of people who are contributing and donating, and it's going to be fantastic. September 10th, we'll be giving more details. We're not only going to have our community donate their art, and we have amazing artists here at OCSL, but we're also going to be having the children create art and put it into the show. I always think that's so special when you see artwork done by a child and have it framed and their name on it, and they can be so proud of their work and their creativeness. So that's one of the events, and there will be a second event. I haven't exactly decided, but I'm really hoping that we all come together to make this art show on September 10th a very prosperous one. This is a fund that will go on for many, many decades, and it will be in a legacy to a man who we've all loved. There is no greater power of love. We talk about that all the time. So it is going to be for him. So more questions, I'm here to answer. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak about it. It's an honor. Thank you.
Well, now I get to put down the mouse and talk to you about education. Last year in education, we did 3 classes: life visioning, meditation is more than you think, and the big one, which started in the fall, is the advanced consciousness studies. I did a survey last year, and it just didn't feel to me like people were, with everything that was going on in the world with the pandemic. I wasn't sure we had enough interest to do classes, and I did a workshop, and that's exactly what came back. So, but I think it's time, I know it's time for us to get back, because one of the things about Science of Mind is that we are a teaching philosophy. That's what we do. We pray and we teach. So what I would really, really love, because education is so important, you heard Maureen say it in that video, is if you've taken classes or workshops or whatever, if you've gotten education through the Centers for Spiritual Living, whether it's at our center or whether it's at another one, and it's made a difference in your life, will you please put that in the chat and just sort of say, this is why I love education. Because we're going to be doing, in the next couple of weeks, we've reestablished the education core, and we started visioning last year. We're going to continue that, but in another couple of weeks, we're going to have a session where we really look at what are we going to do moving forward, because it's not just certified classes, it's all sorts of education that we can offer. And some people want certified classes, other people want other things. So look forward to some really exciting things, but I would really love it if you'd put it in the chat, what education has brought to you. So if you, I can answer questions later. So thank you so much for letting me be your education coordinator, because I love it. And Linda, you're on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't see my picture there, so I couldn't turn off my mute button. Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Wyman, and I am the Bookstore Coordinator. First of all, I want to thank the congregation for supporting our bookstore during this time. We've been closed for pretty much 2 years. And even though we've been closed, even though we've been closed, we'll continue to have expenses, monthly expenses, and the sidewalk clearance sales and pulling the stuff out of the bookstore has really helped to keep us solvent during this time. As we look to reopening, which I'm so excited, the bookstore will reopen in the bookstore moving forward. And because of that, I do need to rebuild my volunteer team. I've had a wonderful team of volunteers that have helped me tremendously over the years. Some want to continue and some have moved on. So I'm asking people if you're interested in the bookstore. I would love to hear from you, and we need volunteers for that. And then we also have to rebuild our inventory. We've been working on releasing inventory during the past 2 years, and now it's time to rebuild again. And I want your ideas, I want your help, and let me know. And I think that's about it for me.
Hello, folks. My name is Zoe DeMuro, and for the past couple of years, I have had the honor of being the volunteer coordinator, and one of the hats I've worn. So I wanted to speak to you a bit, just a very short bit of time about sacred service. This quote from Mahatma Gandhi, I think, says it all. When you surrender completely to God as the only truth worth having, you find yourself in service of all that exists. It becomes your joy and recreation. You never tire of serving others. And that is absolutely what I feel and what so many of you clearly feel about sacred service. It is, without a doubt, the life's blood of our community. Could we go to the next slide, please? Now, rather than spending the next 2 or 3 hours naming all the people who have contributed so much to this center, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask any of you on this call tonight who have provided service as a volunteer to turn your camera on. So go into gallery view, folks. And if you have been a volunteer in any capacity, please turn on your camera. Because we have so many ways that people have contributed. They've contributed to the administration services, animal ministry, the bookstore, the diversity circle, education, the compassionate attention to lost ministry, facilities, gardening, hosting, kitchen and refreshments, media, music, nominating committee. That's the nominating committee for board. Nonprofit partners, pastoral care and compassionate caregivers, the ministry of prayer, ushers and greeters, the welcome table, youth and family. This is without a doubt how we as a community can do so much. And as Linda Wyman just said, we always need more volunteers. So if any of these possible ways to contribute speak to you, by all means, please, please give into that calling. Thank you very much.
So, Sabrina, you're going to speak to this?
I will. Hello, everyone. Since about November, Sage and I have been having a blast. I mean, an absolute blast, putting together memes with affirmations and quotes, including things that focus on our weekly themes here at OCSL. Going forward, based on what we've learned in terms of the activity On our Facebook page, we're going to create a more strategic plan that is focused more on things like what we're doing at the center, including the different ministries, as well as more affirmations and quotes that have been working well for us. And when we say working well, we're talking about activity like memes that are being shared from our center to other places. So we're looking forward to doing that going forward. Thanks.
Hi, this is Peggy, and it's good to see everybody. And I am just over the moon about the media team. I've been working with the media team now for several years. I've lost track of how many, I think it's 3 maybe. But the media team has been so lovingly giving and loyal, and I forget they're volunteers because they easily step in and step up into every schedule. Some of them last minute. Whether we're on Zoom and we shift over from being in a sanctuary to Zoom, or we go the other way, every single person on the media team has just been right there on the spot. So I just want to take a moment to say that each and every one of these wonderful, wonderful spirits have just blessed me. And in so doing, as we like to say, has blessed themselves and, of course, the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. This participation to bring the Oakland Center competitive in the media field has just been enlightening. We've added cameras, as you know. We're live streaming, not to mention we're simulcasting. Oh my goodness, we're just doing so much. So whether it's Sunday service or whether it's Wednesday satsang service, we've been training everybody. Everybody's been learning. It's just incredible. Even tonight, annual service, and here we are, just learning and growing all together, jumping into every single aspect, making this thing look more and more professional every single time. And that is the goal. So I want to just take a moment to thank everybody by name really quickly, if I can. And I tried to put them in alphabetical order real quick here. So it's Alice Herndon, Alice Knutson, Barbara Vivino, Helene Cirillo, John Roselle, Louise Thompson. We're waiting for you, Louise, to come back. Peter Gum, Sabrina Bolas, Sam Ledion, Tricia Gregoire, and then there's Max Lopez added to the team. He is, in fact, our audio and visual consultant, and we treat him just like a team member. When he's in the sanctuary, he jumps into doing whatever we need, and that is invaluable. And then there's one great big thank you that I also want to talk about, and I think a lot of you probably don't really know what this person does for us. This person brings a lot of talent to us and trains us on how to think about editing, how to think about lighting, how to think about our camera angles, how to think about the switching. He brings all of this talent from understanding the staging that goes on. And his name is Andy Robbins. And I just want to say thank you to him too, because our whole team has been so cohesive as we've gone along with this training. And then, each individual brings even more. So thank you, everyone. And I look forward to working some more and building the team even more. So perhaps if there's anybody who'd like to have some fun with us, and we do have a lot of fun, and we laugh a lot, and we try all kinds of things. There are people trying new things tonight, and it's working very well. So join me anytime. I think you can go on the website and just contact Andy Robbins. Thank you so much. I'm complete.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Hi, everybody. I was going to report very quickly on compliance. At the moment, we continue to review state requirements, county requirements, and now we are under a Oakland City ordinance. So when we reopen, which we think will be soon, we're going to go with our previous protocols at this point, which was masking, social distancing, and now we have to do vaccination proof. Of course, who knows? That could change between now and then because this is kind of a fluid situation and there's ambiguities and conflict between these three separate governmental agencies. And we continue to be driven by our dedication to the security and safety and health of our congregation. So I think we have a target date to open, but I haven't been told that I'm the one who's announcing that. So I'll leave that to someone else. And that's it for compliance. Thank you.
Well, I am back. This is why ministry is such a delight and joy at the Oakland Center, because of all these amazing beings who put their lives into all that they are doing and to make our center just so rich and thriving. So I'm in such appreciation of every single practitioner and team member and everyone you've heard from thus far, and there's more to come. So I'm talking a little bit about our 2022 nonprofit partner. But before I do want to share that Reverend Jeff was brilliant in bringing this whole idea of nonprofit partners to our community, because it's a way that we can reach out into the world in such an amazing way and have our nonprofits come and share with us and allow us to give back to them. So as you can see on the list, we have a lineup this year or last year, and we are moving forward into 2022 with some great nonprofit partners. Now there's some beautiful posters displayed in the back of the sanctuary for all the nonprofit partners that are yet to come. So we've had Hively and the East Bay School for Boys, here we go, and NCA, PDA, Youth Alive, the Bernero Project, Go Aboard, all of these beautiful representations of our nonprofit partners for this year. Save the Redwoods, Interfaith Council, EBAC, EBSPCA, the Sonora de Land Trust, and the Oakland LGBTQ. So we are focusing on and supporting some very, very great nonprofit partners this year. So please enjoy the posters and enjoy the visits. I think we have one joining us this Sunday. So much thanks to this program and to Beth Van Arkel, who has anchored this program since it began, and Erin, who is her support person as well. And anyone else who's been involved, anyone who's made the contribution of a recommendation for a nonprofit partner. So we are truly blessed, and I'm so appreciative of this program. Thank you. I think Debbie's next, and she's going to share a little bit about our finances.
Okay, I'm here. I'm here. Happy to.
You want the first slide?
Yes, you go ahead. Okay, well, let's leave that there for a minute and just let me tell you that this will be my 5th year being your treasurer. I'm very proud of being in this position and being able to share the financial information with all of you. I also want to say, of course, and I'm extremely grateful for all of the contributions and giving that happened in 2020 when we first started the pandemic, and 2021, and then now moving into 2022. I know that we will continue to be prosperous and abundant. Okay, so this first slide shows some trends in incomes from 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. So it shows our total incomes. It shows what our total expenses are. So move my hand there. Then we had our personnel expenses, and then we had our profit and loss for those years. Okay, you can do the next slide. Here are our 2021 big expenditures, just so you can look at what the bulk of the money goes to. Of course, we have many things that the center does. So this is just a snapshot of those 2021 expenses. Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide shows it's our balance sheet and assets. And I am showing you here what the end of the year, December 2021, looked like. And then I'm also showing you a year to date of what it looks like now at the end of February. And one of the reasons why I'm showing these slides, and you know that I usually do show the balance sheet information. But one of the biggest things that we did between the end of December and the end of February was move some money from our operations account and our buffer account into our self-help bank account for emergency reserves. And what the board decided was that we were going to start putting money into our reserves now so that we have a nice reserve of 6 months for our center in case anything was to happen, so that we could definitely stay open. It's just a prudent thing to do. Of course, in these days, all the financial people recommend it. And so we're going to be building that reserve until we get it to a nice 6 month number. Next. Okay, this is about the pledges, and I'm actually going to turn this over now to Reverend Jerry.
Thank you, Debbie. And I just want to acknowledge that our beloved Debbie never gives up. She had knee replacement surgery just this week, and here she is sharing in her pride of being treasurer of our Board of Trustees. Thank you so much, Debbie. Appreciate you. So here we are, 2022. Now in 2020, before the pandemic, things were looking good. And then in 2021, we dropped off a little bit, but we're making our way back. And I'm so grateful to appreciate everyone who has completed a pledge card. I know we're still accepting pledge cards, and as I always say, the Edwin Gaines saying, you can't outgive God. Pledging is a very important part of keeping our center thriving. As you can see, we have expenses and we have income. And right now, year to date, it's not listed on here, but I think we're at the $33,000 mark that we've received so far. We have 86 people pledging, and right now our pledge for 2022 is growing. It's at 213,000, and I know there's more to come. I'm so appreciative of everyone who has really stretched and given of their, not only their time and talent, but the treasure, which is so important, as you know. So I'm very grateful to be a part of the pledge program, and I'm very grateful to say yes to accepting even more as the year progresses, as we get back into our sanctuary and continue to move forward in what is going to be a most amazing year for us. So grateful for everyone. I just thank you deeply. And I am going to turn this over to Deborah. She's got some great news for us. Yes.
I am unmuting myself, and I am also letting myself, yeah, there we go. So I am just amazed at all of the great things that we're doing in a pandemic, and we're coming out of it. And I know that there's going to be so much more we can look forward to. Of course, many of you know me as the person who does the vision boards, and you also know me as the one person who works on Black History Month and the nonviolence. But I also have been a member of this great community for 44 years. And of all those 44 years, I have been in service to this community 43. Tonight, I come to you as the chairperson for the nominating committee. I have the honor of working with some great people, Aaron Gaffey, Lita De Seville, as well as Dorothy Mendez. Now, you may not know what we on the nominating committee do. Let me just give you a couple of things of what we do. What we do, our job is to work with the board and the minister to fill the vacancies of the board. And so what we do is all year long, we kind of move in and through all of the social activities and all of the things that are going on to look for candidates that would be great. Not only that, we begin to advertise and make announcements on Sundays. We also announce the openings in the Village News, and we make applications needed on the website. We canvass the community, as I've already stated, for the candidates, and we make sure that we take care of you as you take care of us. One of the great things I wanted to talk about before I introduce to you the candidate was the voting results. Now, I also want to say to you, good job. Everyone that voted on all of the proposed amendments, it was hands down a yes. And so all of the results is nothing but a perfect yes. They all passed, they all went through, and thanks to you, we'll be moving forward in looking for a candidate or candidates that will absolutely be co-ministers or one minister. Decide the decision is up to you. Now, circling back around to that powerful person who also you voted for as a great candidate to join our board is Eileen Grossman. Many of you have known her as volunteering in our community. You also have read her bio, and I'm going to introduce her because you have voted for her as the new member to the board, and let her speak a couple of things about why she is happy to join our board. Eileen?
Well, hello. And first I have to say that I'm really, really honored to be serving on the board. You know, I've been part of the community for, it's going on 5 years now. And, you know, I was looking for a women's group and I happened to research it online and I found it and I contacted Reverend Jerry and she called me immediately and we had a lovely chat and she invited me to come to service the following Sunday. And I did, and I never left. And you know, it's just been an incredible experience for me, and it's been a life changer for me. I grew up in a very observant Jewish home in New York, so this was very far from anything that I was used to, and my life progressed a little bit away from traditional Judaism into more of a spiritual life. And then I found OCSL. And when I did come to that Sunday service, I realized that I had been there once before, about 8 years prior, at a funeral. And I remember sitting in the sanctuary just being struck by the stained glass window. And that always stayed with me. And I just felt like I was back home. And it's been an amazing experience. I was immersed in the community, in the classes, the teachings, just from the very, very beginning. I mean, I think I was there maybe a month or two and I took my first class. I was lucky enough to take the foundations level class with Reverend Jeff, which was probably one of the last classes that he was teaching, maybe other than Prac. So that was an incredible treat. And I guess if I have to say, one of the most important teachings that I've put into practice in my life is change your thinking, change your life. You know, I never really got totally that, you know, we weren't victims, that we could have direct control over our actions and reactions. And it's just been a real gift for me. And I'm excited to be serving on the board and helping grow the community and just taking us forward. And, you know, one of the first people that I met at OCSL was Zoe. And, you know, he's been a friend, a spiritual leader. You know, he's guided me in so many things, and I'm really excited to serve with him and all the other members of the board. So thank you.
And as she says thank you, I want to turn this over to the next person, which is Reverend Jerry.
Hello again. And this is a most tender time in our presentation this evening. And I know that we are recording, so if for some reason any of the audio doesn't transfer, and I'm not claiming that, I know it's going to be perfect, but we are recording, so we'll be able to publish this evening's event. So thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Eileen. I'm very excited about you coming to the board. And now, before we start our presentation, I want us to just go within and close our eyes and have a moment of silence right here and now for everything that's happening in the world, in Ukraine, in Russia, and how the impact of this experience is affecting our world. So let's just have a moment of silence. And blessed be. And I want to give a big hug and credit to Constance, who put her heart into creating this beautiful video that we're about to embrace. So of course, we start off with remembering all of our pets who crossed the Rainbow Bridge in 2021. And for all who crossed, for the loved ones, for those known to us and those we don't know who transitioned in 2021. And then, of course, we remember our beloved Reverend Jeff. We remember his candidating talk, which you'll see a snippet of.
Good morning. Good morning, Oakland. What a trip. Friendly faces, people that I know, people that I don't know, and yet we all have something in common. We come together in spiritual community to celebrate, to love each other, to witness each other, to remember the truth of who and what we are. We renounce amazing music. We renounce the service of all the people that are in service to make something like this happen. It's sanctuary. And it's held by every heart, with every heart, for every heart. told you when I first came on board that you were going to have the best season of my life. And that's one thing that I have accomplished. I've given you the best that I have.
Those looks.
We train people in the art and science and power of prayer. We train people we may not always get along with each other. We may not always agree with each other. But God dang it, we love each other to pieces. You know, we may not always get along with each other. Yes, I am. It's one of my happy places next to a river. I'm thinking about how to manage our lives with this new dynamic that we all have to navigate. Good thing for us to remember. So take a breath. Enjoy the view. Have a blessed day.
I just want to say how I was struck by these dates. That his first talk was in March 8th, 2015. And his last talk to us was March the 5th, 2021. And then he transitioned 2 weeks later. So March was a big month.
Can we spotlight Constance? Because I just want to honor her for her thoughtfulness that was put into this beautiful commemoration of Reverend Jeff. There we go. Thank you so much, Constance.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you ready to do the next one?
Yes, I certainly am. Thank you. So now is a special time that we give great thanks for our beloveds here on this slide. Of course, Robert Leeds, the humorous Robert Leeds, the amazing Dottie Baker, and our beloved Larry Wyman. We are so grateful for your time that you have spent giving of your time and your support of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I know that both Larry and Roberts didn't do one term on the board, they did 2 terms. So they've been really mainstays and anchors for our board of trustees. And now they are lovingly releasing their positions along with Dottie and moving into something greater yet to be. But I just want to say thank you all for just the gift of you during these years. Very tender, special time in history at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm so grateful that you all were a part of it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well,
Robert.
Thank you so much, Reverend Jerry.
Robert, do you want me to take the slide down while you're doing the Q&A?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. So first I want to say a couple of things. One is the time serving on the board, and like Reverend Jerry says, it's been a really wild time to be on the board, and it really was a labor of love. And I want to thank everyone for all their support in doing it. Larry and I Even though we're rolling off the board, we're not going anywhere. We're still here to serve at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Maybe we'll form a little consulting company like Kibitzers Incorporated, and we can give our advice that way. So I want to thank everybody who participated tonight, who shared all the great information. I love the video that the search committee put together. Constance, thank you so much for that honoring of Reverend Jeff. I really miss that guy. So we're going to move into the Q&A. And so what we'll do is, if you want to speak, if you can turn your camera on and maybe use the little reaction thing to raise your hand. And then Peggy, maybe is there somebody who can kind of keep an eye on that so we can pick people in order for their comments or questions. And again, we ask you to keep it brief. Before we jump into that, I do want to make a couple of comments. Judith Roberts asked you a question in the financial part about the PPP, where that came from. So that was part of the PPP stands for Personnel Protection Plan, something like that. And this was part of the federal government's support during the pandemic. And if used specifically to cover payroll expenses, then it could be, instead of a loan, it can be forgiven as a grant. And we were able to do that. Also, I want to give a shout out to Dow, our bookkeeper, who did a really great job of monitoring that all the way along. And I'll tell you, it doesn't matter where the abundance comes from. We were abundant. So it was really a big help. We had about $40,000 last year, and in 2020, we did have a drop off in our donations. So this really helped keep us going. And it was just a blessing to have that. But of course, we don't have that anymore. So we have to shift into a different mode. And I want to just kind of put the financials in context. We have a really solid savings. We're not in any financial trouble. However, it is also true that our monthly expenses have been exceeding our monthly income. And that's been happening for a couple of years. The PPP loans or grants made up that difference. Going forward, we need to do it with donations and other kinds of fundraising. And so I just want to let you know that is something that we want to be focusing on. Obviously, with a new minister coming in, that's going to be a priority for them. But it's really something that the whole community can support. And so we ask you for that support. We did have smaller numbers in terms of the people that have done pledges so far. So we know that there are people out there that have pledged before, and we invite you to do that again, or up your pledge. So having said all that, who has questions? You can go into gallery mode if you want. Looks like Bonnie.
Bonnie, yeah.
Hello, how's it going? I just have a question around the affiliation process. Now that we are actually actively going to start here looking for a new minister, and we're asking people if they know of a minister that they could recommend them to back to home office. And if that minister is not affiliated, what is the affiliation process and how long does that take? Are we being accurate if we say to someone, oh, well, you can become affiliated with CSL? So could you answer that as to how long that process takes?
Thank you, Bonnie. That's a good question. And I'm going to see if Anthony has any insights into that as he is on the search committee.
Well, so
actually, search committee, and we both have that question.
Oh,
but
sorry, Bonnie.
I think Reverend Julie would be the person to ask, unless Jerry may just know some like informal information about affiliation.
I'll just clarify. Can I clarify a point? I just talked to Reverend Julie yesterday, and she's the one that's saying that there was a policy change 2 years ago, but we had so many other things to discuss. And it's like, oh, I didn't ask her how long that process takes. So.
Well, Bonnie, it's good to see you. And although I've stepped back and have, I love the video, by the way, that was fabulous, Anthony and team. I haven't been involved in any of this, obviously, but the one thing I do know is that according to our bylaws, we are required to have a CSL minister, and that minister is to be ordained. So that's what our bylaws call for. I know that much to share with you. So any ministers that are candidating need to be a Centers for Spiritual Living minister, and they also need to be ordained for our center.
Okay, then
if that helps. Yeah.
Well, no, I'll just take it back to Reverend Julie, and then I'll have an answer for everyone.
Yeah.
When we meet again. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Dorothy Mendez. Dorothy, we can't hear you.
Aren't we supposed to be looking for an ordained minister? That's what my question was. And the other thing is, as far as our payroll is, I know we have expenses of garbage that we're still, have garbage that we have to get. What are the other expenses that we are incurring at the center right now when we are shut down, other than paying salaries for our administrative coordinator, our contracted minister? What are the other finances that we are incurring at this time?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dorothy. There are some minimal utilities. And Larry, if you're there, if you have any insights into that.
Well, I can add a little bit to that too. We actually suspended the garbage collection for quite a while, and when we got some, Christopher and Paul took it right to the dump, so we didn't have to pay that expense. But we definitely still have to pay water and lights and all that other stuff. And Larry, you can add to that.
Okay.
Well, I only know because I've been signing checks, but definitely there's utilities, and water's been a big one to keep the gardens going, although we've done some work on cutting that back. We have Bob is now our official irrigator, and I think he's going to help us cut down on the water usage. We have still a copy machine. We have still expenses for our IT support. It's a lot of the same stuff, just not quite as high as it would be.
Okay,
thank you. We still pay the landscapers to keep the property in good shape on a weekly basis.
Okay.
I think, Javier still has some stuff that he's doing for us. So, that's what's happening.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm complete.
Yes,
Dorothy, we also have music expense, and we have insurance expenses. So there's those typical normal expenses that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, and one other thing, kind of piggybacking on that, is keep in mind that the past 2 years, one of the sources of income that we had was renting our facility. And in the past 2 years, we have not been able to do that. So that was a significant loss for us as well. So as things begin to open up, we'll be able to do that again. We have a beautiful facility. we'll be able to, market that. Susan Brecker has done a great job, overseeing that process. And so going forward, we're, really hoping to make use of that as well.
Are we still renting to the AA group that used to come in on Sundays? Are we still being able to do that?
Yeah, I believe they're still coming in.
Okay, thank you so much.
Other questions? Reinhardt. Unmute yourself, sir.
Hello, can you hear me all?
Yes.
Oh, great. First off, it's wonderful seeing you all. And I know I have my camera turned off. I'm not totally presentable right now in a good way. But anyway, I've been traveling for 2 months, and it's just wonderful seeing you all and being part of this. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all in person. So I'm a little bit curious. This is a question probably for the search committee as well. So in terms of the overall timeline, so if one of you can maybe sketch out just, totally high level and very broad brush. So this started when, and we are now here, and the next key steps are expected to be done at this time. And if all goes well, we'll have a new senior minister when about, just broad brush. Thank you.
That's a good question. I want to ask, Linda and Bonnie are in charge of it. Linda, you and I talked about this earlier today about a deadline, and it seemed like that we're taking it one step at a time, to my understanding. I don't believe there's an actual deadline. East Bay, unless Bonnie, you want to add to this?
We don't have one.
Yeah, East Bay is still looking. So they've been at it for a while. We want to keep submitting what we have. We're going to do our part. And then, like I said, the CSL vets the applications. They tell us this is who we think is a good match. So I don't know if there's a timeline to their processing and vetting applications. We're going to be meeting with Reverend Julie, possibly in the next week or two. We got to get a meeting with her going. And, we're going to update the congregation at the Sunday services and giving you some general information about how the process is going. But Bonnie, maybe you want to back me up on that. But I don't remember hearing about a timeline, she said.
Yes, I hear what Reinhardt is asking, and that's exactly what I was asking Reverend Julie, because I knew this question would definitely come up, because we're all anxious to move forward in the process. So we still have that final piece with Reverend Julie, and I would say probably during this month of March, she will meet with us and things will go forward. We will start blasting the announcement out. And as quickly as those applications come in and they get vetted by the Home Office, they'll come to us. So I would just say with a broad brush, Reinhardt, broad, maybe mid-summer, end of summer. Let's say that we would have at least 3 candidates that we've looked at their applications. And we'll be meeting with Reverend Julie and definitely have a deadline that will go on the application at that time.
I want to add something to the timeline. We're on God's time on this, and we're not even open. And we're having the process. Things are starting to open up all over the country. It's a time for renewal, and we're putting out our applications, I think, just at the right time, where people will be looking to do something new, looking at our applications, and then we'll be open, and people can come to the center and see how beautiful and wonderful we are. So we're on God's time here. That's all I wanted to say.
I'd like to add to that too. This is Constance. When I was preparing that memorial for Reverend Jeff, and I went back and I saw his candidating, that was in March of 2015. He started in July, so that was a 4-month lag from when he came here and first spoke to when he started. So once we get the applications in and people are speaking, we're still looking at about a 3 to 4 month lag. So in my mind, I'm saying, we might have someone on board maybe by the end of the year. That would be my hope. But COVID willing, and that, and nothing rises again. So.
Oh, what is that? The creek don't rise.
Yeah.
Well, that's our thing, end of summer. So we will press forward, doing all that we can to make this happen.
Right.
And, I just wanted to ask, so Bonnie and Anthony, you might know this. So assuming that the application gets posted this month, doesn't it have to stay open a minimum of 60 days?
You know what? We will get more clarity with Reverend Julie when we meet with her this month. That's what she wants to let us know next steps. Our first and most vital steps and most time consuming was getting that profile in and getting the video done. Now that both pieces are together, then we will be taking that to her, or really it's already with her, and she will meet, and then she'll let us know about deadlines and that kind of thing. And I did talk to her about that, and we're going to go forth with a deadline when we meet as a group, set that deadline. And my camera won't turn on, but I guess that's okay. You can hear me.
Thank you so much, Bonnie.
Deborah?
Thank you. I don't think people should really.
Hold on.
Oh, excuse me, Dorothy. I think
I'm sorry.
Deborah had her hand up.
Oh, okay.
My question is around, we are going to narrow it to 3 candidates. Is that going to be, we're only going to see 3 candidates? Because I think the last time we had 5, and then we narrowed it down to 3 and then 2. So I'm just asking, did we design this process, or how is that process going to be?
Yeah, our directions are taken directly from home office. There's a package that we're given with step-by-step instructions, and that's what we're following.
We did have 5. Yes, we did.
Oh, you could have, yes. I'm not saying that that's not true, and who's to say that that things could not change? Maybe there would, maybe home office will say now that it's 5, but for now it's 3.
And part of the search committee's responsibility is to sort through those applications, and to whittle it down.
Yes.
Whittle
And
it
so,
down to 3.
so that is their task and their charge, and we know that they will be divinely guided in doing that.
So we got Dorothy Mendez and then Judith Roberts after that.
Yeah, well, I was not aware about the candidates being 3, and I'm on the committee, but I do know that we did have 5 candidates in the last search that we had, and which included Reverend Jeff. So I don't want us to limit ourselves or our congregation. And so I think Reverend Julie, when we meet with Reverend Julie, we need to let her be aware that our congregation would like to have a more broad perspective of people candidating for our community. Now, if I'm wrong and anybody opposes that, then just let me know.
I think that can be discussed in the committee and with Reverend Julie. I think that would be just the perfect time, Dorothy. Thank you.
Judith Roberts, unmic yourself, please, Judith.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to chime in here because I was on the search committee last time, and I remember we had 10 applicants that were all viable applicants. We screened them all, and the committee decided on 5 to bring in. And in retrospect, my feeling was that we could have brought it down more. I feel like 5 was too many. It was exhausting. But that's what we did, and that was a committee decision. So this committee can, you know, screen the applicants, vet them, and then decide how many to bring in. And it's flexible.
Judith, that's a great input you just gave us, because we can take that information to Reverend Julie saying, you know, we had at least one person on our former search committee who felt 5 was a little overwhelming. What's your thought about that? So that's really good information to get from you. And I actually do remember Reverend Julie using the word 3 several times in our discussions, but
yeah, and it's also very expensive to bring in that many, because
that's right.
We had to fly them in, we had to sell them, we had to feed them, host them, and it was exhausting for the committee and the congregation, I think, to see that many people over that many weekends. I mean, that's my opinion in retrospect. I just wanted to share that. And then in retrospect, I felt like, well, you know, maybe it didn't have to be 5. I think some of the other committee members might concur with that. So anyway, thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Judith.
And Judith, thanks for that feedback. That's great about 5. Thank you.
Oh, it was hard. It was hard. And we were new. We didn't have anybody coaching us really very much. And so, yeah, I think it's better to have fewer myself. Really, you know, limit it to some really stellar candidates. Thank you.
We'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Judith.
Andy?
Yeah, I was also on the committee, and I just wanted to add, not an opinion, but I think more important is how many rounds you do. 5 was not the standard at all. We made that up. We did it for certain reasons. I actually thought it was appropriate at the time, but the fact is that you wind up with 2, or at least I think that's the standard, and that's the way we did it. But you could just easily have 4 and then 2, or 3 and then 2. If you look at this, and I think this is what Judith is suggesting, from the side of having seen all the applicants, it's clearer than you might think who is really a fit. The balance, of course, is the committee is not there to select at all. The committee is there to do their due diligence and on behalf of the community and make sure it's the community that ultimately decides. I think that's a more important perspective than the number.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you. Yeah, good perspective. It is 8:23. Is there anyone else who has questions? Yes, Robin Rice Olmstead. Sing it to us, Robin.
Sorry, trying to unmute myself. I just want to add to that as I am participating in a few of the candidating processes, and one of the things you could do as a hybrid midpoint is have phone conversations with the candidates prior, like do a phone interview with some of them, so you can really start to weed out, like if you wanted to have 5 and you can't decide. I know that as my husband has been candidating, there's a couple of centers that, you know, he's been through 3 telephone interviews before they finally invited him out to talk and to candidate. So it's just a good way to get to know somebody and really, you know, just get their vibe and if they're in integrity and in alignment with what you're looking for. And that's it.
Thank you. Good point.
Thanks, yeah, for the feedback.
Anyone else? Now's your time. All right, well, as I said, this will be posted if you want to go back and check some of it out. And of course, all of us are available to answer your questions at any time. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll be getting updates on the search committee as it goes. And we just want to be as open and transparent as possible and involve everyone in the process, because we really are, as we've seen tonight, a community that thrives on service. So thank you all for your service. And I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Jerry to pray us out.
So once again, let's take a collective breath, breathing in that breath of love, breathing in that breath of life, knowing that God's grace and love is everywhere present and so apparent in this activity this evening as we come together in the consciousness of love and oneness, in the consciousness of clarity and wisdom, in the consciousness of goodness and grace. How good it is to know that we are being divinely guided and inspired by that divine power and presence that knows only good. And I'm blessing each of us this evening as we move into a restful evening, awakened, refreshed, and just stimulated by all the graciousness that has shown up here this evening, all of our amazing committees, the beautiful presentations, the honoring of our beloved Reverend Jeff, and so much more.
This is finished here.
It takes a village, definitely, and we are that village that is surrounding each other in support, in graciousness and goodness, and just surrounding ourselves with the moving forward into a new experience at Oakland Center. I know that it is already complete in the mind and the heart of the one, and that we be open and receptive and trust the process, knowing that there is only divine order in it all. Blessing Larry and Dottie and our beloved Robert as they move into their next greatest yet to be. And yes, truly, they are going nowhere. They are staying connected to us because they are part of our spiritual family. So I bless us all. I'm so grateful for this community. I'm so grateful for everything that's taken place this evening. So I know that we rest well and awaken refreshed to meet the new day, feeling invigorated and feeling really supported by this divine power and presence that knows only good. So if any of this is true for you, and all of it is true, please join me in saying, and so it is. Amen.
And so it is.